In the heart of an ancient Slavic forest, where the trees grew so tall their branches seemed to cradle the stars, there lived a young woman named Yaroslava. She was no ordinary villager. Born under a blood moon, Yaroslava possessed an innate connection to the unseen forces of the world, spirits of the wind, whispers in the earth, and the flickering shadows that danced in firelight. The villagers of her small settlement, nestled at the forest's edge, both revered and feared her. They called her the Witch of the Wood. Though she was no witch, only a healer with a heart as fierce as it was kind. But the forest was changing. A darkness crept through the undergrowth, a malevolent force that withered crops and poisoned wells. The villagers whispered of a demon, a shadow beast that fed on fear and despair. Yaroslava, driven by her bond with the forest, vowed to uncover the source of this blight. Little did she know, her quest would transform her into a legend, a figure both feared and revered, known as Baba Yaga. Yaroslava's journey began on a frost-bitten night when the wind howled like a wounded beast. She knelt by her hearth, mixing herbs for a sick child, when a voice, ethereal and ancient, whispered her name. It came from the forest, carried on the wind. The spirits, she realized, were calling her. She donned her cloak, woven from the fibers of moonlit nettles, and ventured into the woods, her staff glowing faintly with runes she'd carved under the guidance of her grandmother, a seer long gone. The forest was alive with danger. Wolves howled in the distance, their eyes glinting like embers. Yaroslava pressed forward, guided by the spirit's whispers, until she reached a clearing where the air shimmered with unnatural light. There, etched into the ground, was a circle of blackened stones, pulsing with a sickly green glow. At its center stood a figure cloaked in shadow, its eyes like twin voids. This was the Leshy's Bane, a demon born from the forest's ancient rage, twisted by human greed and betrayal. The demon spoke, its voice a grating rasp. "You cannot stop what has been set in motion, little healer. The forest will consume all, and I am its harbinger." Yaroslava's heart pounded, but she raised her staff, its runes flaring. "I will protect my people," she declared, and the first battle began. Yaroslava dodged tendrils of shadow that lashed out from the demon, her staff deflecting blasts of dark energy. She chanted an incantation taught by her grandmother, summoning roots from the earth to entangle the demon. The creature roared, shattering the roots, and lunged at her. Yaroslava rolled aside, her cloak catching fire as she narrowly escaped. With a desperate cry, she drove her staff into the ground, unleashing a burst of light that forced the demon to retreat, but not before it vowed revenge. Wounded but undeterred, Yaroslava sought answers. The spirits led her deeper into the forest, to a place where no mortal had tread, a grove where the trees bled sap that glowed like starlight. There, she met the domovoi, ancient guardians of the forest's heart. They revealed the truth. The Leshy's Bane was born from a broken pact. Long ago, the villagers had sworn to protect the forest, but their greed, felling sacred trees for profit, had awakened the demon. To defeat it, Yaroslava would need power beyond mortal limits. The domovoi offered her a pact: bind her soul to the forest, and she would gain its strength, but at a terrible cost. She would become something other than human, forever tied to the wild. Yaroslava hesitated. She thought of her village, her friends, the child she'd healed. But the demon's threat loomed, and she knew there was no other way. With a trembling voice, she accepted the pact. The grove erupted in light, and pain seared through her, her bones twisted, her skin hardened like bark, and her eyes glowed with the forest's fire. When the transformation ended, Yaroslava was no longer just a woman. She was something more, something terrifying. Word of Yaroslava's transformation spread. The villagers, once her kin, now feared her. Her hut, once a simple dwelling, began to shift and move, sprouting legs like a great beast, guided by the forest's will. She became Baba Yaga, a name whispered in dread. Yet she remained, a protector patrolling the forest in her ambulatory hut, seeking the Leshy's bane. The demon, however, grew stronger. It poisoned the minds of the villagers, turning them against Yaroslava. Led by a zealous elder named Ivan, they marched into the forest, armed with torches and axes, intent on burning her out. "She's the demon's ally," Ivan cried, his fear twisted by the demon's lies. Yaroslava faced the mob in a moonlit clearing. Her hut loomed behind her, its legs stomping the ground, shaking the earth. "You've forgotten the forest's gifts," she said, her voice now a low, resonant growl. Ivan hurled a torch, and the hut screeched, swatting it away with a clawed leg. Yaroslava raised her staff, summoning a gust of wind that scattered the mob, but she spared them, unwilling to harm her own people. "Leave," she warned, "or the forest will judge you." The villagers fled, but Ivan swore vengeance, planting the seeds of a deeper conflict. Yaroslava tracked the Leshy's bane to the heart of the forest, a cavern where the air reeked of decay. The demon had grown massive, its form a writhing mass of shadow and thorn. It taunted her. "You are no different from me, bound to this cursed place." Yaroslava's heart wavered, but she remembered the children of the village, the forest's beauty, and her grandmother's teachings. The battle was cataclysmic. The demon's thorns tore at Yaroslava's hut, which fought back, its legs slashing like blades. Yaroslava wielded her staff, now pulsing with the forest's full power, firing bolts of light that seared the demon's form. The creature retaliated, wrapping her in shadows that burned her soul. In a moment of desperation, Yaroslava plunged her staff into the cavern's floor, chanting a final incantation. The forest itself answered. Trees bent, roots surged, and the cavern collapsed, trapping the demon in an eternal prison of stone and root. Yaroslava emerged, forever changed. Her hut, now a permanent extension of her will, roamed the forest. The villagers, shamed by their betrayal, left offerings at the forest's edge, seeking her protection. Baba Yaga became a dual figure, guardian to those who respected the wild, terror to those who defied it. Her name echoed through generations, a reminder of the cost of power and the strength of sacrifice.